We are back with a brand new SGC reveal and also 3 cards that I picked up for my PC. And we're going to go over each of these cards once I get through these stacks. Now, I know Steven's supposed to be doing most of these SGC reveals. Well, he's just up in Orlando, so kind of doing one last reveal before he's in charge of them because he is down in Miami right next to SGC. So with that in mind, let's start going through some cards. We have some customer cards here on the left. We have some cards that we will be selling. I'm pretty sure most of these will be for sale in the middle. And I have cards in my own personal collection here on the right. So when we do our group subs, we try to do a mixture between customers, stuff that we're going to end up selling, and then also some stuff for PC, whether it's Steven's PC or my own. So with that being said, let's go through stack number 1. And I'm actually going to switch these 2 cards over here because you might saw the back on this one. So you might know what that card is. But this one is super, super tough. I mean, one of the toughest cards out there, and it's a baseball / non-sports set. So you might not be too familiar with it. Okay. So first customer cards over here, we have a 1959 Willie Mays. This got a 3.5, a little OC left to right, but does have actually pretty good color on this one in person. Then we have a 1958 Willie Mays. This one got a 3. Does look like it has a little crease right over there, but does present well besides that. And we'll see the back on that. Okay. Then we have a 2.5 on this side of things. See the back on this one. And lastly, we have a 1958 in A4 of Roberto Clemente. Our next order, we have a 1963 Clemente in A5. This is actually pretty good looking. A little bit chipping here on the bottom, but those are always a little bit tough. Then we have a 1966 Mantle 3.5, followed by a 1960 Mantle in A3. Then 1959 Mantle, this got a 3. And a 1956 Willie Mays, this has a gray back and a 1.5. Definitely miscut. You guys can see the top of the other card, or technically the bottom of the other card based off the sheet. But there we go on that side of things. That is order number 2. 1961 Maris, 3.5. 1980 Ricky Henderson, this got a 4. 1941 Playball Carl Hubble, this got a 3. Then a 3.5 of the Pee Wee Reese rookie card. Beautiful card on this one right here. Then we got a 3.5 of the Pee Wee Reese rookie card. And lastly, a Bob Gibson rookie in A4. I promise, let me show you the first PC card that I picked up recently. So this is a N76 Abraham Lincoln in A4. And this is a card that I've wanted for a while. Wanted to at least get like a 2 or 3 higher. It does have a small crease there. It's not the biggest deal because the presentation looks really nice. And I definitely did overpay when I got this card. But it's okay sometimes to overpay on stuff. Now, the N76s aren't too rare. They get a little tougher once you get into the higher grades. And higher grades, I mean like 4s, 5s, and 6s. I think the highest grade that I have is a 7 of Fulton. I mean, Fulton is no Lincoln by any means like that, but still a really great card. And I am still looking for Edison and also Jefferson, I believe, and also Grant in the set. So if you have any leads for those 3 cards, please let me know. I'm trying to get some nice copies. On those, I would be 3 above, although if a 2 does look nice, I would take that. But there's that, and also I'm okay with roll. Okay, now let's go into our second stack, which is going to be some of our inventory. Like I said, I'm pretty confident this is going to be our inventory right now. Some things could change based off of different upgrades within my own collection and duplicates and things like that. So let's go through those, and then we'll go over next card in my personal collection, and then we have the last one over here. All right, so first, we have a John L. Sullivan 4.5. I thought this copy was really nice. I was hoping it could get a 5+, but it ended up getting that. So not a big deal. This will be going straight into inventory on that side of things. Then we have an iconic Churchill Ogden. I've had so many of these cards. I can't even remember if I bought this overseas or how I ended up acquiring this specific copy, but it is a good looking 4- minus a little bit of wear here at the bottom. These I have to do a little bit more research on. But this got a 4.5 on this 1947 Frank Sinatra. Then we have another one over here. So this one looks like also film stars. This is 97 through 192, Frank Sinatra, and another one. So 3 Fink Sinatras. I'm not, like I said, I'm not an expert on the set, so I do need to do a little bit more research before I do end up selling these. But these are earlier cards of his, so I'm just gonna put that caveat on there. And I do know a Sinatra collector, so you might get these first. But yeah, kind of cool on that side of things. We have a Sports King over here. Now, I believe this guy is in the Basketball Hall of Fame, but could be wrong. Just your normal lower grade copy. We have a Ann Oakley. This was originally going to be something I was going to PC, but I decided, I mean, I bought a lot of non-sports stuff recently, and I'm going to look for a nicer copy. So probably eventually like a 4+, and it'll take a little bit. It's not huge on the priority side of things, but this does look pretty good on the front. A little paper loss here on the back, or it's either paper loss or staining. Yeah, I think it's paper loss, but yeah, 2 on the Oakley. Up next, we have a Queen Victoria, and this is from 1889 Allen Ginter. These are actually very tough, the world leaders on the side of things, so 3 on here. And I actually have one of these that are going to go in my collection. Not the Victoria, but I'll show it in that stack. This one was tough. I bought a lot of presidential stuff, so if I didn't, I would have kept this card. But since I've bought so much, I decided to sell it. But Grover Cleveland on this one, it got your classic one. I mean, it has paper loss and some staining. It's not a good card by any means, like that on the back. The front does present nice. But like I said, I'll show you the card I got for my PC, which I was super stoked for. But still, I love the design on this card. Grover Alexander. Now, it does look trimmed over here. You guys can see boom, boom, like that. But sometimes it's better just to get this card graded, easier to move. And this stuff's really popular. I did end up keeping one of these Roosevelts for my PC. It's in this other stack. It's also a 3, but it looks way nicer. But this has a lot of edge wear on the sides. This is a classic over here with the American flag. Would have kept it, but I have a 5 in my own personal collection, so this is going to be available. But this card is so cool. It's honestly one of my favorite images, both like presidential and also in the Ogden series. We have a Sandow. This one I actually have an 8, surprisingly. Picked it up a little bit while ago. But Sandow, famous bodybuilder and kind of like iconic figure. And I picked up a few other Sandows as well. Arenado Refractor in a 9. I had this in my collection for a while, so stuff I'm kind of selling just to upgrade into other pre-war non-sports. Machado Refractor 9.5. Oh, I wanted the 10, but that's all right. And then another Arenado. This one got an 8 side of things. Ray Dandridge. Now, I did sell my Dandridge at the National, but I'm also selling this one just because I bought a lot of stuff. And I can always find a 1, although this one does look pretty nice. But you guys can see the back. A little messed up, but that's all right. Got a Max Baer. This came back a 6, and it's a super sharp card. And lastly, Ray Brown over here. So I was originally going to keep both these Deep Porvitos, but for my collection, I want to find like at least 1 5s or possibly 2s. And I can find 1s again. Although it is a scarce card, I'm not going to say it's super easy to find. But yeah, so pretty cool on that side of things. And the PC card for this side, we have the SGC slab and Major Taylor. So Major Taylor, one of the best cyclists in the early 1900s and late 1800s. Famous African-American athlete in America well before Jackie Robinson. And it's in a C series. So with C Ogdens, I believe 200 through 300 are a little bit scarcer. So that's why you don't see a ton of these Major Taylor cards popping around. And it was a 3.5. So ideally, I want to get a nicer copy over time, but I'll take a 3.5 as a good starting point. So there is that card, and you can see at the bottom, it is C234. Now, there's a lot to the Ogden series, and I think they would make some interesting videos if I did a lot more research, but it's just so niche, I don't know if people would watch it. But anyways, that is the Major Taylor. And again, I have one more card that you guys will really like, but we'll do that after this last stack, which is my own collection. So, and also one other card too. for another YouTuber. I should mention that. First, we have an Andrew Jackson. This is something I can upgrade over time. This is definitely like a miscut. It's got a min size. I have another min size, which is a Ben Franklin look sharp. But like, if you look at the corners on this, it is pretty sharp overall. Not the end of the world, right? Andrew Jackson isn't the biggest name in the set, but I thought it was clean and I picked this up for like 80 bucks a while ago. And I love the imagery in the set, like I said. Oops, I almost... And like I said, I love the imagery in this set. And it honestly pairs nicely with this Lincoln. Okay. Then we have the other 3 Roosevelt. This is the one I'm keeping. Again, it looks a little bit nicer. It does still have some edge wear and things like that, but still a Teddy. So this is the card that I was alluding to a little bit earlier, the N34, and you may have no idea who this is, right? So take a look at it. It says Governor General of Canada, Richmond's Allen and Ginter cigarettes. You flip it over here on the back, has some paper loss, and you're probably thinking like, why are you keeping this card? Well, it's Lord Stanley. If you're familiar with the Stanley Cup, that trophy was named after this guy right here, and this is his rookie card. And it's very tough to find, in fact. So I saw this in a lot in an auction, and I picked it up right away. I was like, I have to have this card. And it's something that I wanted a while, and I just waited for an opportunity and ended up picking up this card. Now, again, this is something I do want to upgrade, right? Like it's a 1, there's paper loss on the front, there's paper loss on the back. But sometimes it's just nice to get a card in your collection and then just upgrade it over time. And it's not an easy card to get. I think there's maybe 20, if that, of this card. There's a lot higher than 1 just out there, but something I really, really like. And this is the best hockey card, in fact, of the 1800s. We have another Sandow, followed by, actually, I'll show both right now. So 2 more poses on that side of things, and things, again, I will upgrade over time. But the reason why I wanted this one, look at that C224, another one of those rare, or I shouldn't say super rare, but like they're rarer cards in the Ogden set. And then this is Series A. This is a lot more common card. I see this all the time listed, but this one is tougher. This is a tougher Roosevelt from the F series, and has him on the horse right there. That's honestly a pretty cool card, I'm not gonna lie. So Roosevelt has some really sweet Ogden cards, and one I wanted, and I picked it up. Okay, Napoleon. Now, most of you guys would say, like, why did you get a Napoleon graded in a 2? Napoleon cards don't even sell for that much in Ogdens. Well, this is a tougher pose on Napoleon. If you look at all the other Napoleon Ogdens, it's 1 pose. This is the only card that has it like this. So, again, I like scarcity, and this is a scarcer Napoleon card. And if I find a nicer copy, I find a nicer copy. Plus, he's a pretty big historic figure. The Minozo rookie. So, this one I will be keeping. I'll pretty much sold the other 2 cards to keep this one as well. Nice, sharp looking corners and sides, like super good looking. Obviously has defects on the front, but a great crisp looking back as well. And it's a 1.5, so nicer than a 1. I'll take that any day of the week. One of my favorite sets out there, Kusas. So I am trying to pick up some of the historical figures. These look like the Ogden cards, right? So just to show you, super similar, right? But these are out of Malta. So when I do see some historic figures that I don't have, I try to pick them up. And crazy enough, this is kind of like the Ogden set where there's thousands of Kusas cards. Some of them are like one of a kind. It's interesting. I'm not an expert in it by any means, and they printed them a lot of years. I think 1905 through 1909, if I remember correctly. And there's other bottoms too, and like variations. Like there's a lot to the set, and it's not really well documented. But Ben Franklin, and then also Isaac Newton. And just to show you the backs of those, not the best, but good luck finding these type of cards. So both over there. The one I have in the set that's highest is Andrew Jackson 6. And yeah, I mean, you just don't see that card. Rolling Stones 1966 Dandy Series G. This is actually one of the tougher Rolling Stones cards, and I saw this as a buy now. I bought it right away, and this came back A4. A lot of Rolling Stones stuff was way overprinted. They have full sets. They're pretty common, but this is one of their tougher stuff from the early 1960s. I believe their first cards were 65. This is a second year in 66. The one thing you'll have to learn about rock cards if you do the research is a lot of stuff are like low pop, but a lot of it's still out there and not graded. Like this is one of the tougher cards that will still be low pop in the future. Got a Ronald Reagan. Now I know it's not his rookie card, but it is still an early one. Now the thing with this set, there's also a Walt Disney in here, and I'm eventually going to pick it up. But every card in the set should be a 1 or a 1/5 because they all have staple holes. And like, I get the point from grading perspective of why it has to be a 1 or 1/5, but in my opinion, and again, I don't run a grading company, I think there should be exceptions for sets that have like creases already in the cards when they distribute them, or cards that have holes in them, because the range and variance of cards that would be a 1 or a 1/5 is pretty large, right? Like you could have a crumpled up card and it still could get a 1. You could have a card with a lot of paper loss on the back, still get a 1. A card with a huge hole on it still could technically get a 1. Or you could have something like this that looks pretty sharp overall. Again, and like I know, and actually this probably would be 1 because there's like paper loss or whatever else over here. And those are the staple holes that every single card has. But my whole point is, like with cards like that, I've seen some unboxing sets that look really, really sharp. And it's a different set, not this one. But it's going to be a 1 because of the 2 holes in it. So I don't know if I agree with the criteria with that on the grading side of things, and I think that's something that should be updated. But it's such a small subset of cards out there in sets in general that I don't think it ever will. But either way, pretty cool imagery on that one, and I'm going to go get the Walt Disney. Then we have a Charles Lindbergh W511. So it is kind of cut down here at the bottom, but this is a tougher card to find. Lindbergh. Technically, this is one of his rookie cards, I believe. His first cards were in 1926. So just something to throw in the historical figures collection. I'm not a fan of ABBA. In fact, I haven't really listened to their music, but I know they're super influential. And like I listen to a lot of Swedish metal bands, and funny enough, like they talk about ABBA as like an inspiration. So I saw this one a while ago on ComC, and I picked it up and got it graded. And these trapezoid cards from Monty Gum are pretty tough. I don't know for sure if these are 72. I think they might be 73 or 4. I could be wrong though. A lot of Monty Gum cards are just blankly labeled as 1972 when they're distributed across multiple years. And there's documentation online if you really want to do like the research on that side of things. But 7's a phenomenal grade for any of those 70s Monty Gum type of stuff. Okay, we have a Sherman from Dukes. So you might know Sherman's March to Sea from the Civil War. And a booklet card, and like I said, I love some of the imagery on this. I still need to pick up the Grant in this set, and I think there's also Robert E. Lee in this set too. It's a lot of the cards that Duke produced were really, really nice. I don't know if I call these cards or they're booklets technically, so there could be an argument made on that, but still really, really cool art. This is something Steven picked up at the National, wanted to get graded. This is a Cap Anson playing day card. I'm not going to lie, like it's such a weird card, man. But it's still kind of cool. It's from the era. And you can see all of this here on the back. I think he paid like 250 bucks for it, which was a steal. This is one of my favorite cards, actually, in my collection now. So you have Thomas Edison, Ben Franklin, and also Samuel Morse, 3 of the best inventors of all time. And these trifolds are much tougher than the Great Americans N76s. Like very, very tough to find. I still don't have Edison, but I have these 2. I have a 3 and authentic, but the authentic looks really sharp. It's just mint size. I'm going to show you the back over here. So really, really cool. Has some paper loss and different things like that, but very, very tough card. And you can't complain if you get this type of stuff. But the fun thing is, like, I bought 2 of these in the lot, and I actually split it with another YouTuber, Enough Side Cards. So go check him out if you like non-sports, pre-wars, different things like that. Like if you like the stuff I have, his channel also has a ton of it. But this is his copy over here, and it was trimmed, but we ended up splitting a lot together because these are tough to find. And finding any copy is better than nothing, right? And it's really, really cool. All right, 2 more cards before my PC. We got a right. This is a Spanish card, I believe 1920s. There's that. I don't know why this one got a 1. It looks actually pretty sharp. Maybe there's stuff wrong with it, or like staining. Might look like I'm staining over here, but it's tough to tell in this lighting. Either way, I love the imagery on it, and I wanted to get slabbed up. And lastly, the Archduke, start of World War I when he ended up getting assassinated. Although it wasn't the only reason why World War I started. And this is a 1919 card. But I love the back on it and everything like this. So he also has a Felix Podin. I have the Felix Podin in a 4, but I did not have this card. And I think these are the only 2 cards of his. Could be wrong for sure. And yeah, so let me show you also the last card of my collection. And if you guys do want to get stuff graded, we have the link down below in the description. Make sure to check that out if you want to help support the channel and get your cards graded. I show them all on the channel over here, what the grades come back as. So last card. Ready? The Lone Jack U.S. Grant. So this set, the baseball players are like extremely expensive. Like you're talking about 5-6 grand for a common, but the non-sports, they're not super expensive. So I have a Mark Twain that's trimmed. I have the Bartholdi, the guy that created the Statue of Liberty, in it too. And I have U.S. Grant in a 1.5. Now this is a little bit faded here at the bottom, but I still love this imagery. And I'm really happy to pick up this card. So I was able to pick this up on Facebook in one of the non-sports groups. And I was really, really thrilled because I wanted this card for such a long time. And like I said, it's been a great time for buying. Some really cool stuff has been approached, and I try to take those opportunities. But when you buy stuff, you do got to sell. So that's why there's some cool stuff in the selling side of things, because that's how you can upgrade into stuff like this. But it's really awesome. Hope you guys do enjoy this video, and make sure to subscribe if you have not. And we're going to have a lot more on the channel really soon.